Our food system having a big problem now because we develop our food system to depend on outside too much. In the past, every life, every communities, every people, they have their own food system. They can be independent. In each village, they grow their own food. They have their own forest. They have river. They have pond where they can get their food easily. So everywhere they are independent like that. If some town or some village have problem, another place will have no problem because they are independent. They did not rely on outside too much. That is security in our life in the past. But now it looks like we are so developed, we are so civilized, but our food is depend on so many things outside. For example, in Thailand, we need to depend on a lot of fertilizer from petroleum products from Middle East. We need to buy a lot of chemical from a few companies from the Western country. We cannot grow without this thing anymore because we were trained to believe that we have to depend on these things. And then when whatever happens, it impacts everybody immediately. Like now, we have the war in Middle East. We have the big problem with farming in Thailand now. Many farmers, they cannot afford to do farming anymore. It's so sad. I think the most important thing is we need to design new food system for us. Everywhere in the world, we need new food system. We need our own technique, our own way to grow our food. And then we need to depend on the material in our area to grow food. We don't need to depend on outside so much. To make our life more secure, every people, every family, every village, every town, every cities, they need to have their own food system. They cannot depend on outside so much. Now, we think in the business way. We plan our life in the business way. We feel like if we can make money, a lot of money from industrial, we just focus on industrial work. We don't need to think about farming. We can make a lot of money. We can use money to buy food from somewhere else where they can produce food very cheap price. That is the way we think. But this thinking causes a lot of problem from now on. Because when we depend on outside so much, everything happen, it will interrupt the system immediately. Because the whole world connect together. Whatever interrupt the system, it interrupt the whole world. So we need to learn from this lesson. We need to design new food system. Every families, every village, every town, every city, we need to plan to do zoning or to have a system to have a group of people who grow food for feed our own communities. And each community we need to change our mindset about garbage. How can we change the way we think about garbage? Now we think garbage is garbage. Garbage is a problem. So we need to think garbage is gold. Garbage is food. How can we turn garbage into food or turn to gold, to money? We can do that. So if we campaign to start the new thinking, new trend to separate garbage every houses, we can produce the garbage in every places will be enough to make compost to grow food to feed that town, that city. only the garbage is more than enough to produce food to feed people in that city. This is very important thing to think about it. Because now when we think garbage is garbage, we need to spend so much money to get rid of the garbage. Instead of using money to get rid of the garbage, we can use this money to campaign to change the way of thinking of people. That we need to use this garbage to make compost, to make good food for us, to feed us. If we do that, we will save a lot of money in each town. Because the money that we get rid of the garbage is quite a big amount of money, and the money that we buy fertilizer from another country to use is a lot of money too. So if we use this money to develop our compost system in each town, each city, each village, we will produce a lot of compost for sure. We know that we have experience about this. And then when we have a lot of compost, we can grow good food to feed our own town, our own communities easily. If we do this way, we will save a lot of transportation for the food. For example, in Thailand now, people from the south, 1,000 kilometers away from the north, they need to deliver cabbages, Chinese cabbages, and lettuce from the north to the south. That costs a lot of money for transportation. So if we plan to grow food in each region, they have their own food system, they have their compost factory, they have farmers in the around, so all the food will not be transferred longer than 100 kilometers. That will save a lot of money, and then it will be the way to spread the income to many people in the local area. This is a way to decrease the gap between the rich and the poor. Nobody will monopolize the food. We can make the food cheaper and cheaper and better, because we know that we grow food in our area, in our province. People who live in the city, they can feel proud of themselves that they can separate the garbage and turn and bring garbage to compost in the city factory. And then they know that they give this compost to this farmer to grow rice, to grow vegetable, to grow fruit. And then they can go visit this farm. This is the way we reconnect together in the whole town, in the whole village. And then food will be in our hand. We know where is the food come from. We are one part of the food production. We are one part of our communities. We know each other. This is the way we can be independent on food. But now, we cannot do this because of the government and the corporation. They work together. They are not support us to be like that, because we can depend on ourselves. They don't want us to depend on ourselves. They want us to depend on them. That's why we need to import corn from the US to Thailand now. Why we need to get corn from the US so far away? That's because of they want to monopolize the food. There are a lot of reasons that they can explain to us why they have to do that. But all the reason is just the reason for profit, for business, not for sustainable life, not for sustainable way of living. It's not for people, it's for profit. That's the biggest problem. I think everywhere in the world, we can produce food everywhere. We are in the same world, we are not different. We can always grow food anywhere. It depends on how can we plan for it. How can we decide for it? Food is security. Food is freedom. Food is happiness. So everyone, every city, every town, we need to have food in our hand. That is independent. That is freedom. That is happiness. So now we need new design, new way of thinking about food. We don't need to eat hamburger everywhere in the world. We can have different kind of food everywhere we go. They have different food. If we design our community in this way, I think whatever happens in the world, it will not cause a big impact on our life much. We can be more independent. We will have less and less problem. That is joy. That is fun to live together on this earth.